Hey, it's News from Heaven. Today we're going to be looking at what a twin flame couple looks like. We are going to be seeing in the afterlife what it's like when two people are so conjoined as to souls and purpose and interests and Pinterest boards that they effectively move into a tier of existence that we can all aspire towards. This series, this is part 3 of our twin flame series, and the whole series is founded on the premise that I think if you are out there checking out the internet phenomenon of twin flame, and I say internet, but internet is just how everything is expressed. Now, a lot of people are interested in writing things about the twin, like soulmate, twin flame. Is there somebody out there for me? How do they connect with me? I think you gotta know, especially given Swedenborg's influence on everything that's led to the New Age movement, or whatever you want to call the kinds of things twin flames are popping up in now. Swedenborg was there at the beginning, and I think you can get in this amazing level of depth and interest and insight from his concept of amor conjugialis, sometimes translated conjugal love, sometimes translated marriage love. That's the translation we'll be looking at today. We did an episode called Spiritual Marriage about it, and it's this promise, isn't this what sort of drives the whole Hollywood romance kind of thing, that can't love between two people be something transcendent and more, and can it last? Can't you be looking to build something forever with someone? Well, we're going to go check out some people who have been together, not quite for forever, but for about as long as you can be together. This is Marriage Love 42. This is where Swedenborg is describing a spiritual trip that he took. Then coming down from the highest or third heaven, you could say inmost as well, a chariot suddenly appeared, in which was a single angel was visible. We're going to be talking a lot about appearances of objects here. And you could even right away say, chariot, one of these, why would I take this on to draw a chariot? There's no need. They know what a chariot looks like. Okay, you got it. There's a person in there. There's a horse right here. There's your horse linked up to it. Why? That's not, these days chariots are not that great. In Swedenborg's day, sure, you still had horses pulling things. Did they have 2 wheels? But isn't that a little outdated? Look, this is not actually a chariot. Nobody in the spiritual world, nobody sat there and knocked these spokes in there with a hammer and bent this wood around here. This is an appearance. This is a representation of what's in the heart and mind of these people. This is Swedenborg's perception that we can all get if we're open to it, telling him something about the character of these people as they approach, because you don't, in the spiritual world, need to traverse distance. There's no time and space. It's the world of the mind. I say spiritual world. It's the world of the mind. It's the world that you're in right now. You don't need to traverse distance to go from one subject to another, to think about one person to another. It's state of mind. If somebody can be very close to you and yet you feel like, oh, you're a million miles away, we're just not clicking, it's because mentally, spiritually, you can be very distant based on state rather than actual location relative to each other. So you see somebody traveling to get to you. This is about the minds of the two parties getting in sync, and this, what would let you travel fast and powerfully, is a reflection of your mind. And we're about to see with this, whoever this is that we're meeting, we're about to see a lot of representative appearances that mean a lot, and that's why he mentions the details. Okay, all we know is it's an angel. Angels visible. As the chariot drew nearer, though, it could be seen that it carried 2. There's the twist. Could this possibly be our conjugal married twin flame couple? I don't know. We'll see. But that means something. Just the fact that when it's far away, when you don't quite get what's going on, you can see it as a single angel. But yet it's actually 2 people. So I guess we'll stick with this picture. We got 2 people in here. Even from a distance, the chariot sparkled before my eyes like diamond. And the colts, that would be these things here, harnessed to it shone as white as snow. And light is no joke. And the color of light is no joke when we're talking about the spiritual world. So just the fact that they are radiating out light is truth. So there must be some deep truth and wisdom with all these. And the color, that would have to do with the quality of the truth. Okay, the angels sitting in the chariot were holding 2 turtle doves in their hands. Even we know that a dove is a symbol of some kind of peace. So they've got some little dove here. So there's something, and I do want to confess to you that we are going to get a ton of details, which is like ready with correspondence. But he doesn't explain in this relation. He says these things, you'll see it coming up. These things all symbolize something, but we don't get, he doesn't say what they symbolize. So you'll see me doing some floundering and some Swedenborg educated guessing, but you know it means something. But he's like, I'm not going to bother to tell you right now. But in other places he talks about things like this, so I'll try to extrapolate from that. You get what you paid for. They called out to me. Okay, and here's the angels talking to Swedenborg. You would like us, and what do angels say? What's going to come out of an angel's mouth? You would like us to come nearer, but when we do, be careful not to let the radiance of the heaven we come from, a fiery radiance, pierce you any deeper. What a strange thing for angels to say when they stop. It's flow. So angels have danger around their aura. Its flow would bring to light, what's dangerous about it? Concepts too lofty for your understanding. Concepts that are heavenly in nature, that's a technical term, meaning they're will-oriented in nature and impossible to express in the world where you live. So receive what you are about to hear with your rational mind and expound it to your understanding in those terms. So, I don't know how you feel about this paragraph. You could get here and say, oh man, that's a major letdown. Because angels, they just seem like a little too standoffish, or I don't really like the cadence of what they say, or I thought they would speak in poetry. But understand, this is not, I would really doubt they literally said these words. This is Swedenborg recounting something that angels give to him on a level that none of us could write down. And he's saying, okay, because of what I understand about this, I can kind of, in retrospect, put this together. So I'd say the spirit of it's there. I doubt. Don't get hung up on the words. Unless you love these. If you love it, and you're on this side, like, this is great, then yeah, it's great. But the interesting thing is that there is, like there's a danger in it. That there is, wait, be careful, because we've got so much of this particular kind of wisdom, it could actually be dangerous for your mind at this point. Which at first you think, oh, just bring in all the love, do all the love. But there's just about nothing in life, in the physical world, that doesn't operate like that in some way. We think about the sun. The sun is so great. We're really indebted to the sun. Go watch a documentary about it, which I just did recently. You didn't have the sun, you wouldn't have any life. Everything would be freezing. We'd all have been dead before we were ever alive in the first place. The sun is so great. Let's go get in a rocket ship and go as close as we can to the sun because it's so great. No, I mean, you'd be in a lot of trouble right away. There's even nutrients in your body. Oh, vitamin D is good for you. If you are low on vitamin D, you need vitamin D. Everybody, let's all sit there and eat a big block of vitamin D. No, it's about balance. If you're not ready for it, exercise. Let's all just run a marathon. That's very healthy. If you're not ready for it, it's harmful. So they're saying here, we've been at this a long time. We've been able to build our minds into this place where we're receiving this super high grade energy from God. Be careful. Careful when because you ain't ready for this. So, Swedenborg, what does he say to that? He says probably, who do you think you are telling me, Swedenborg, star of this show that he doesn't even know is happening? Who are you to say that I need to be careful? Actually, he's pretty chill about it. Come closer, I answered. I'll be careful. So we'll all be careful going with him. That's supposed to be my scroll tool. They approached, and I realized that it was a husband and his wife. Okay, so we have a couple here. This is our twin flame. Or what do you want to call it? What, soulmate? Swedenborg would call it married partner. Some people call it conjugal partner. Whoever it is, we've got a couple here. And they tell you that. We are a married couple, they said. We have led a blessed existence in heaven from the earliest times, the times you call the golden age, living always in the same flower of youth that you see us in today. This is a reference I think Roman kind of, Greek kind of people talked about that. Swedenborg talks about these sort of phases of spirituality that the human race went through. There was this initial one where there wasn't really religion in the same way that there is now. You got your insight from, the way nature was on the planet. This is a picture of the planet. The way nature was on the planet, your dreams, direct revelation from angels and God. It was just like everyone lives how they're supposed to. You had a natural tendency to be altruistic rather than us all working here to fight against our tendencies to harm each other. This was just how it was supposed to be in the Golden Age. And this is people from that means they've been in the afterlife for a few thousand years, but I don't know how far back you want to peg that in history. Let's say 6,000 years or something like that. So they're still together. Congratulations. What do you get somebody for your 7,000th anniversary? And you grow young. To grow old in heaven is to grow young. But it's all because everything external is reflecting an internal state. And here we're going to get to see, what does the internal state, this internal bond between them, lead to in terms of appearance. I scrutinized them more closely since I realized, look at this, man. I realized that they represented marriage love, both in its life force and in its outer adornment. These are people that are just coming up to him, but the nature of the spiritual world is that these people, because they are living this, are also an accurate diorama about it, that you can study even how they appear, and that gives you knowledge into what the nature of married love is here. Here, it's not the same. You can look at somebody and say, okay, well, they don't look that interesting or exciting, but they can be some super genius who's doing great things for everything. There, the outside matches the inside. So you can learn about a universal phenomenon from this particular example. Okay, I know, stopping at a colon, bad form. So this is the marriage love representation. Its life force was represented in their faces, okay? Life force in the faces, and the way it adorns itself was represented in their clothing. All angels are feelings of love in human form, which, by the way, we can get to be. Everybody is a feeling of their love spiritually. It just depends on, what do you love? Do you love your own reputation? Do you love power? Or do you love the happiness of others? Or, in the best case scenario, the happiness of everyone? Then, what kind of form would that take? Their ruling love actually shines from their faces. Oh, we add these guys up here. Shining, shining, shining. Remember all these lines here. What was it that's shining out? This is the ruling love. Whatever really makes them them. They are given clothing on the basis of this love and in keeping with it. This is why they say in heaven that a person is clothed by her or his own particular affection. Here we can use style to try to project an image of something we're not. But there, it's like you don't need to, I just can't find an outfit that matches me. What you are produces the appearance. So then, with that in mind, what do these people look like, being this deep into married love for this long? The husband seemed to be somewhere between late youth and early maturity. His eyes sparkled with the gleam of love's wisdom. So whatever his ruling love is, it has something to do with love's wisdom. And love's wisdom being the form of love. A light that gave his face a kind of inward radiance and outwardly made his skin seem as though it were glowing. Okay? This made his whole face one shining splendor. You know what I got to say about you? Your face is a shining splendor. He was clothed in a robe. Okay. Now so remember, the face is, what was it? How does he put it? The life force of this married love was represented in the face, the shining face we just heard about. The way it adorns itself was represented. So what are the downstream effects of this married love? He was clothed in a robe. Under it was a deep blue tunic. So we've got blue, which is related to this wisdom, correspondentially anyway, clasped by a golden belt, and in the belt were 3 precious stones, 2 sapphires at the sides and a ruby in the center. Correspondences, but he doesn't tell us what they mean. That everything there is not just, this might look nice on you. This is an expression of what's going on in the heart and mind. 3, the number 3 means something. It means completeness. I don't know why you have these 2 at the sides and a ruby is in the center. I don't know. And the golden, I could even do a whole study on. So why gold? Why belt? The point is, this stuff is all cool, and it's all a reflection of what's going on deep inside of them. Now, listen, if you had tunics and stuff, that's old-fashioned. This was 250 years ago. Talking to somebody who's thousands of years old, I would assume new kinds of minds going into the afterlife have all kinds of different clothing. So it's not like it's in some time capsule. Oh yeah, his stockings. What about the footwear? His stockings were made of gleaming linen interwoven with threads of silver, and his sandals were of pure silk. I picture some really nice slippers. These things constituted a formal representation of this husband's married love. And whoever's it's not him putting that together I gotta in the morning make sure I'm a formal representation. This is something that springs organically from the love. In the wife, though, marriage love took the following form. I could see her face, and yet I could not. I saw it as absolute beauty. Love is beauty. Love in form is beauty. And yet I could not see it, because such a thing is beyond manifestation. So he's like, what's going on here? A splendor of blazing light was in her face. Seems to be the theme. The kind of light that belongs to angels of the third heaven. The fiery light. Remember, they were going on about it before. And it dazzled my sight. I only stood there stunned. And she doesn't even necessarily know that that's how he sees her. She's like, what's going on, Swedenborg? And I said, or she didn't say that. She said, what is it you see? I answered, I see marriage love and its form, and nothing but that. And yet I both see it and don't see it. And look at, so it's Swedenborg encountering these angels who, when they came up to him, said, watch out, we're a little too cool for you, in a nice way. And here he is trying to comprehend. So sight spiritually is understanding, trying to understand just what he's seeing, and he can't quite do it. And so do they say, told you so? No, they find a way to acclimate. At this, she turned her face. And how do you do that? How do you tone it down a little bit? If you're these two angels and you're all shiny and you're all hooked up, how do you lessen that? Check this out. At this, she turned her face somewhat away from her husband. And then I was able to observe her more closely. So what's given them this shine? It's something about, I don't need to scroll up to that. You guys remember that. It's something about the bond. Sure, and for anyone who's not familiar, check out our other episodes. Marriage love is not just something that can take place between two people. This is also something that takes place in individual minds. You have to have the union of good and truth in your mind to make it happen. And there's the bond between God and humanity. So it's happening on a lot of levels. But for the particular manifestation we're seeing here, it's not that, this person's so great and this person's so great. It's the bond between them that is giving them, or is this crucial element of that. So as they reduce that bond just slightly, it starts to fade a little bit, and then people like Swedenborg and us can understand it a little bit better. Her eyes sparkled with the light of her heaven. Again, this is the third heaven, which I've already said is a blazing light, and so draws upon the love of wisdom. In that heaven, wives love their husbands within and because of their husbands' wisdom, and husbands love their wives within and because of the love their wives feel for them. Sounds like a lot of philosophy. Essentially, there's love and wisdom. Those are the two primary elements of everything. Like all the form around us, all the tables and chairs and desks, this is love and wisdom at the most essential level, making them up. That's actually what God is love, divine love and divine wisdom. So Swedenborg even says in other places that in everything there is a marriage of goodness and truth. And it almost sounds like the way he's describing it, like particles, the positive and negatively charged particles, something like that. And this is something that, even though I've been reading Swedenborg forever, you can't just say, I get what he's talking about. You can get it at times and in pieces, but there seems to be complexity to it, like there's complexity to the physical world. Suffice to say, for this moment, these two people here are representing or doing a large-scale version, or a small-scale, whichever way you want to put it, of the connection between love and wisdom. And something in what he's describing here is that same connection playing out in the way it's uniting, but it's not exactly the same, the way that they're connected there. This was the source of her beauty. A beauty so perfect that no artist could emulate it or capture its form, since no palette boasts such brightness and no art can express such beauty. No art, no palette. The one thing that Swedenborg never saw coming was news from heaven. Okay, how hard could it be? All right, so you got this angel. What's she got? Eyes. She's happy, right? She's got some hair. There's shine coming on out. Maybe there's even a little blue celestial. Okay, there. That's not so hard. He couldn't have foreseen modern technology and modern genius like I have here. So that's what it looked like. Her hair was perfectly arranged to match her loveliness and was plaited with gemstone blossoms. Why do we do stuff to ourselves? Why do we adorn ourselves? It is to communicate something. So here he's saying that there's like a core or an essence to that. Again, we're going to hear a million correspondences here. Oh, but look that she's really like red. The guy had blue stuff on and she has red stuff on. A ruby necklace she had with a loop of, well, Stuart told me that chrysolites are yellow. Is that right? Yeah, we'll see. I think that's what those are. So, as well as bracelets of pearls. She was dressed in, okay, here we go, in a scarlet gown, which she wore over a crimson blouse. So these different shades of red buttoned in the front with rubies. So she's red. She's got something red going on. He's got something blue going on. Somehow, these are reflective, well, you could say of love and wisdom, but Swedenborg also says that, everybody's got love and wisdom, both inside themselves, but they're just paired in different ways. But there's something about the way they're united that's giving them these different kinds of clothes. It amazed me how the color of those rubies changed. Again, it's about the union, depending on whether she was looking at her husband, and how likewise they sparkled, now more, now less, depending on her gaze. More when the two were looking at one another, and less when they were not. By the way, in the spiritual world, when you turn towards someone or turn away from anyone, it has to do, it's not just like physical turning here, it's much more about, are you cued into the not just what they're saying, but what they represent and who they are. That Swedenborg would find, turning away from particular spirits, it's much more significant here than just like, okay, I got to look over there. After I'd seen all this, they addressed me again. But at the same time the husband was speaking, his speech came as if from his wife, and at the same time the wife was speaking, her speech came as if from her husband. Such was the oneness of the minds from which the speech arose. Now, you might say, that sounds weird. Check out episode 1 of this 3-part series where we talk about what is that union. And Swedenborg is really big on, sure, people get really close to each other, but autonomy is sacred. So it's not this losing of your personal autonomy or losing of self. It's the same thing with the way people partner more and more with God. And you get closer and closer and closer to God, but you actually get to feel more and more autonomous the closer you get. Anyway, that's worth looking up there. And for some reason, is this crucial part of what love is. It's not like let's erase two beings or a person and God and make one. It's like let's get, and that's why the whole human race has so many people in it, and why we're all so different. It's not about let's all get to be this one thing. It's let's get all these different things working together perfectly and closely while each doing our own individual part. At that moment, I'm getting close to the end of my time here, so I'll hold off on my amazingly useful and insightful side commentary. At that moment, I could actually hear what marriage love sounds like. It is inwardly in unison and also precedes, what's the essence, what's the experience of this relationship? Is it like, okay, well, I guess I'll take out the trash. Proceeds from joy taken in living in peace and innocence. Innocence, a willingness to be led by the divine. So something about the dwelling together is founded on peace and this relationship with God. And that makes you super happy. So that doesn't sound terrible. Finally, they said, we're being called back. We have to leave. And I never thought about it before, but who's calling these people back? Who's got the authority to say, hey, leave Swedenborg alone? Then, as before, they appeared to be riding in the chariot. I said I would stop my commentary. It's not as important, are they in it or not? It's what is being communicated by it. They traveled down a road that stretched through flower gardens, along the borders of which rose olive trees loaded with oranges. Again, these are all celestial things. Okay, I'll stop. When they neared their own heaven, young women came out to meet them, welcomed them, and escorted them in. So they got friends, too. It's not so bad. So there you have this picture. And it's full of representations, and I don't think he explains all those things in detail, but you could certainly piece it together based on all the other things. Oh yeah, I forgot about this awesome picture. The point is, this is something that they've got going on they really like, and it's something that they've been able to craft and work on over a long period of time, and it seems like it's actually gotten better and better, and has to do with the love they have for each other, but it also, you can't separate that with the love that you have for the human race and for goodness, and somehow it's pulling them together. That this can actually get to the point where it's creating spiritual conditions around you. And Swedenborg and other places says that people putting the work into that kind of love can do all kinds of good things for the common good of heaven and the human race and all that. So there you go. Just in case you're at a party, somebody says, what do conjugal partners or twin flame or soulmates look like after a few thousand years in the afterlife? You could say, well, actually, and then everyone will think you're cool. That's the news from heaven. Hope you enjoyed this series. Looking forward to getting together with you for the next episode. In the meantime, see how these ideas work for you. Does even hearing about that help you with something? Does it inspire you with something? Even if you're saying, oh, I'm not in a relationship or looking for one, does that let you know something about the way you can unite truth and goodness in your own mind? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear that. Like and subscribe if you are enjoying the show, and hope that your day goes well, and I'll see you very soon.